Welcome to Rauta. This time we feature one of the newer bands from Finland, coming from the black metal scene. This is Apogeion with their debut album. And this one has a little bit of a weirder name, Astrolatria 1 Initiatio. Initiatio, I guess, would be the proper one. Released through Northern Heritage, this is not your typical N-Age release for a couple of reasons. First of all, it kind of lacks the rather classic black and white approach, and having more, I guess, softer ways, more beautiful ways, not to disrespect Northern Heritage style, saying just that it's a little bit more crude in so many ways more often. Here everything feels more elaborate, as if to lure in people for some nice, beautiful music. Well, couldn't be much farther from the truth, even though this features the kind of classic, old school, one could say archaic English with the lyrics and comments here, liner notes. Everything here with the music is very raw and crude. One could even say that there's a strong contrast between these two. And when it comes to music, I have a weird comparison in my mind. Imagine Beherit and Clandestine Blaze making love to each other and having a child. This could really be it. Let's tune in for Metal Archives on the background while I'll guide you through. As seen, this band is, at least as well as officially stated, something around the lines of 2015 when it was founded. It took 7 years, that is, if this information is correct, to get this debut album going, and at least so far no official demos or whatever are announced. So it's more like let's found a band and then just put a lot of effort and time into it and create this album. This one features only 5 tracks, but some of them are rather lengthy ones, which is also one of the kind of a curveball elements on this album. Having 41 minutes or so, with the total length of the album, and having this kind of a crude, almost raw black metal with the lengthy tracks is something like a tough cookie to crack. The thing here is also, while this is definitely leaning towards the kind of a more crude end of black metal, having kind of a simple riffs and harsh production, it's also quite weird that they have these kind of vocal samples as well as synthesizers to create kind of a cosmic layer on it. Then again, if you really take a look at these track names, there's kind of a cosmic feel to it. So it's more like staring to the night sky and seeing those stars and all that stuff, or like almost like abandoning the planet Earth, and then having those kind of cosmic keyboard elements to create kind of a beautiful feeling to it, and then having these harsh, crude black metal riffs on top of it. So it's almost like Dark Space came to this wedding with being Beherit and Clandestine Blaze, giving their blessing and bringing some gifts like, okay, here you have some keyboard samples, here you have some cosmic elements and all that stuff. And that's how the party began. Now, also on top of these factors, having somewhat crude production, yet still kind of a powerful, even with the kind of a warm and fuzzy sounding guitar and bass, the vocals are very barbaric. They're not exactly your typical black metal raspiness, and even less the kind of a black metal screaminess. They're more kind of leaning towards what could be described as some kind of a grunting. It's not really death metal growliness, but there is this kind of a power coming, from that territory as well. But it's more like the kind of a buried vocals in a way, but also reminding me of, once again, Clandestine Blaze. Riffs, then again, have a kind of a strong death metal feel to it. I mean, even though this is technically speaking black metal in so many ways, it's more like there's this underlying death metal presence, which is always there. So it's like going down to some kind of a moldy cellar, and you have this kind of a decay smelling all over. Like you're like, okay, this is moldy. This is gonna get into my lungs and slowly kill me, like some asbestos. But then you have this kind of overwhelming darkness, like a sinister presence there, if you get my meaning. Now, it might be hard to describe it, so I'm just trying to give you a little bit of tips, hints to which kind of direction this music is getting you into. Now where it gets more interesting is that some songs, especially the last track, has kind of a almost like a hippie type of percussion elements. It's like suddenly you bring in some very anti-black metal kind of instruments into play, and add these to just kind of liven things up, like let's just kind of break this barrier of sinister feeling and let's get some good feel to it. Now, it might sound weird and totally off place, but I think it actually makes this album a little bit more unique. Which is then again to add another kind of a curveball layer to this music. I mean, if you take a look at this album or take a look at this album lineup, you have a couple of names mentioned here. But to be honest, they don't lead to any names. I could open these tabs for you, but wouldn't really give you any kind of a detail. Now, what is funny though is that vocals and drums are done by the same person. And I would be lying if I didn't say they both, the drums and vocals, remind me of Clandestine Blaze. So I wouldn't really be surprised, given the Northern Heritage connection there, that this could have certain members to it. But like I said, it's only my wild guess, so I don't want to state that as a fact. Just merely, feeding my imagination. Maybe I'm totally wrong, maybe I'm right. It doesn't really matter in the whole big picture. Overall, Apogeion is an interesting one. I kind of like it, but on the other hand, it kind of lacks the kind of a punching power what I'm expecting. That is, it's almost like the band is holding itself a little bit back. Like, it's not like ready to open all the cannon doors and shooting them all, but just like having a few shots and see how it lands. That's, I guess, is part of my problem. While I kind of like very much this crude and raw end of barbaric presence here, it almost feels like swing that axe a little bit more. Let those cannons sing their song and just kill everybody right at. Don't just shoot half the cannons, taking this into a kind of a weird comparison to, pirate ships and all. But because of this Beherit and Clandestine Blaze to it, and also this dark space feeling with the cosmic keyboards and all, it is unique. It's one of a kind, which then again is very, very interesting and also quite good. But still no cigar for me. I don't know, something is missing in terms of my, liking. Maybe I'm just a simple person who likes even more riff-driven metal, and having these lengthy tracks, just like too much having without the killer material is kind of letting me down a little bit. This being said, I still urge you to give this one a shot. It's interesting because it's just something different, even if it's not outright there to just like win you over. This all being said, check out the link provided. This will only lead you to that, but at least some of this material should be available on YouTube. So give it a go or give it not. You will find also more information on Northern Heritage Records website, which has released this album. So there you go. Looking forward, comments and questions. See ya.